Okay, welcome to Unit 1, Lesson 2, The Past and Purpose of Army JROTC. In this particular section, guys, we are taking a look at the foundations of the JROTC program and how did it come about. So, think about what you already know, right? What do you already know about JROTC? And I know it seems like I ask you this question a lot. But the importance is always ensuring that you're making a connection between what you have learned and what you are about to learn. Okay? One of the things to think about is the idea behind JROTC was to create a program that was character development focused, driven to teach military education. Now, why is military education important? Just think about that for a second. Military education is important because the events that have happened before will repeat themselves again unless it's being studied. One of the things that you'll do if you proceed on into the military and choose to become an officer, go to college and take a commission, or, even as an enlisted individual, is that you will study those events that have happened in the past. And the reason we study them is to learn about the decisions that were made, the leadership styles that were put into place, the actions that were taken. So if you think about what we did with situational leadership, all of that actually combines together to make this more effective and efficient. So let's go ahead and dive in. In understanding the JROTC program, the history of this, we really are looking at a couple of different things. We're looking at the United States Code, and we're going to look at congressional acts. But let's start off by understanding the impact of the military on the education in war and on the battlefield. And so to do that, I'm going to show you two video clips. One is about infantry tactics during the Civil War, and the other one is about World War I. When we're done with that, I'm going to ask you to compare and contrast, or to talk about the differences or similarities that you saw. So let's start with the Civil War. And now let's pick up on World War I. So, thinking about that, make sure you click on this link. There'll be a link for you to pull up the student learning plan. And this is going to tell you what we're going to accomplish, why it's important, and then how you will know that you have successfully met those objectives. At the end of this, you should be able to answer the question, why is JROTC an important high school elective? Why is JCC an important middle school elective? So, learning objectives. Describe the U.S. Congressional Act that created JROTC. Explain the JROTC program outcomes. Explain significant historical events that combine military training and education. And then make sure we're paying attention to those keywords: conflict resolution, cultural diversity, National Defense Act, and leadership. All right. So, talking about JROTC and its history. So, the U.S. Army Junior Reserve Training Corps is one of the largest character development programs and citizenship programs for youth in the world today. It was started in 1916 by the National Defense Act, and that organized JROTC programs at public and private educational institutions. 1964, it was expanded to be across all of the military branches, not just the Army. So we added Air Force ROTC programs, Marine Corps ROTC programs, and Naval ROTC programs. And that was mandated by U.S. Title X, the United States Code, and so they began to focus on that, and the whole concept was to ensure the values of citizenship, service to the United States, personal responsibility, and a sense of accomplishment. As we have learned before, the mission of JROTC is to motivate young people to be better citizens. Currently, the ROTC program exists in more than 1,700 public and private high schools, military institutions, and correctional facilities throughout the United States and overseas. Approximately 40% of the JROTC programs are in inner city schools, serving a population of predominantly 50% minority. The current faculty, there are about 4,000 people who are the instructors who are retired from active duty, reserve duty, or the National Guard. And those instructors are trained and qualified by the ROTC program, and currently each year serve about 314,000 cadets annually. Looking at this chart, you can actually see the progression from 1916 all the way up to 2017. All right. So thinking about JROTC purpose of military education and leadership training, and how that is connected to education or training in general, think back to the video clip you saw on tactics of the Civil War, and then the tactics you saw in World War I, right? So I want you to do a double bubble map, which is a compare and contrast of Civil War tactics and World War I tactics. So let's watch a video about how to use a double bubble map. In the Google Classroom, you have a double bubble map that you guys can use to do this exercise. So think about what we've talked about with JROTC. Think about what you know about JROTC and JCC already. And then, if you think about the relationship between military and education, how does that have an impact? They did the double bubble on Civil War and World War I tactics. Do another bubble map on military and education. And if we look at those two things together, how does that help us understand the significance of wars and the impact that they have on us and on our future? And here are a couple more videos. So what have you learned about the impact of military on education? Should American military institutions continue to be partnered with education? Why or why not? Click on the link to do the Menti and capture that information. That concludes Unit 1, Lesson 2, Part 1.